Hello and welcome to a Traveleyes Podcast. I'm Andrew from the Traveleyes office and I'm joined today by Dan Raymond.
Good morning, afternoon or evening.
And Amar Latif.
Hi everyone.
And in today's episode we're answering questions sent in by our travellers and future travellers. But in case anyone is listening to this podcast or they've just joined in on this episode and don't know much about Traveleyes or what we do, Dan, can you give us a quick brief for anybody that hasn't heard of us before?
Indeed I can. So we are Traveleyes and we organise group holidays all over the world. On our trips, half the group will be blind or visually impaired and the other half of the group will be fully sighted. Our sighted travellers simply act as the eyes for our visually impaired travellers, and in return they receive a reduction in price, subsidised by us here at Traveleyes.
Fantastic, great Dan. Now, we sent out a request for our travellers and for those who haven't travelled with us yet to send in questions to for the team. The response was brilliant. I mean, we had hundreds of questions and we're going to answer as many as we can, but we might not be able to answer all of them. So I do apologise about that. We may do this over 2 podcasts. So remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment and look out for any other episodes that we do produce. So here are a few questions that we're going to be answering over the course of this episode. How do you decide which destinations to offer?
Great question.
Being totally blind, do you feel one can still enjoy the trips? How do you go about choosing the Traveleyes representative for the holidays? As the holidays I have attended, everyone has been first class.
First class in capital letters.
Why do most trips go from London? And why are the visually impaired travellers paying double for the holidays? Okay, so we're going to start with a 2-part question. I think, Amar, you were going to go first. Okay.
Am I?
So,
okay.
Yeah. Amar, how do you decide which destination to offer? And is there a way your customers can influence this?
It's a brilliant question. So we've got a really knowledgeable product team at Traveleyes, and they do a lot of research. And part of their research is attending trade shows across the world. They look at popular destinations. They look at destinations that are off the beaten track. And once they've done all their research, they put together a list of destinations to us in the office, and then our task is to narrow that list down, and so then we have the task of choosing those destinations and putting it in a diary for the year. So we work out which destinations are better, what time of the year. So they take into account a lot of those things. And can travellers help us to choose the destinations? Absolutely, this is brilliant. Definitely write in or call us. Let us know the destinations that are popular. In fact, actually, on the Traveleyes trips, we usually ask our travellers, which destinations they would like to go on. And then the chances are, if a lot of people are asking for the same things, you will definitely see, that holiday on our website. So absolutely, let us know where you fancy going.
Fantastic. Thank you, Amar. Dan, I think you can field this one.
Bring it on.
How can I find out if I'm fit enough for the holiday?
Oh, fabulous question. Well, we're currently working on a great new way to show the activity levels for each of our holidays. As an example, for the newly released Camino de Santiago walking tour, we have stated on our itineraries how much walking is involved for each day of the holiday. And we're going to increase the description of the activities there for you, so you'll know just how much fitness you need for the holiday. But if you're still a bit unsure if you're fit enough for a trip or a specific excursion, or you just want to know a bit more detail about that, just give the office a call and one of us will be able to discuss that with you.
Fantastic. Okay, so this is a long question, so it's quite specific to somebody that sent it in, but I think it applies to anybody that's travelling international with us. So if you're joining if joining your Cuba trip, as an example, from a remote area such as New Zealand, how can I ensure that I can obtain early information about your travel arrangements from the UK so that I can make travel arrangements to join up with the group in Miami? So this is an absolutely fantastic question. Like I said, it applies to anybody that might be travelling international with us. The best thing to do is speak to our team. We can discuss the flight details with you and where the layovers will be and what time we're due to arrive and what the flight numbers are. We can give you the flight details of all connecting flights and look at an option for you to join up with the group at the layover airport or at the most convenient point. We can book your flights for you, or we can give you the information to take away with you as well. So the best thing to do with this is to contact the office and they'll be able to give you all the information needed for you to make the necessary travel arrangements. So next question. Amar, this one's for you.
Good.
Being totally blind, do you feel one can still enjoy the trips?
Oh, this is a brilliant question. Of course you can. The world isn't just for sighted folks. So if you're visually impaired like me, there's just so much to gain from traveling. So we've got all the experiences that our product team have put into the trips as well. So when you're out on a trip, if you're doing skydiving or interaction with animals or tastings like wine tasting, or in Cuba, salsa dancing on the beach, swimming in the rivers, horse riding. So you've got all that aspect of the trips. But then on top of that, you've got a sighted traveller at your disposal. So each day you're with somebody and they help paint the world around you. So they describe everything. So you get that aspect as well. So not only do you get the sighted, the sensory elements, you get the visual element as well. And our sighted travellers really benefit from, the extra sensory stuff that we actually put on the holidays. So, on a lot of mainstream holiday companies, like, for example, Saga or Exodus, they don't have some of the sensory aspects that we actually put in. So, it's a real win-win situation. So if you're blind, absolutely, the world is waiting for you. Come, let's explore it.
Fantastic, great answer. Dan, one for you. Why do most trips go from London?
Well, why do most trips go from London? Well, there's a lot of deciding factors, really, as to why we use London as our main airport, specifically Heathrow and Gatwick. Firstly, they are just fantastic travel hubs. They're real transport hubs, and they offer plenty of options for us as to who we can fly with and where we can go. And it often makes it easier for some of our international travellers who may be flying in to meet the group. Secondly, these airports, they have train stations, which means that any of our travellers can get to the airports really quickly and easily, and we can also arrange special assistance for them getting off the train so they can meet up with the group. We do tend to fly quite a lot with British Airways, and their main hub is at Heathrow. So any BA flights we would use from a regional airport would usually fly via Heathrow anyway. Now, if flying from London does increase the cost of your holiday because you have to book trains or stay over the night before or after, etc., the best thing to do would be to talk to us here in the office regarding some alternate flights. Maybe you can book all of our holidays without flights, and we can help you find flights from a nearby airport, which may be cheaper for you than all the trains and accommodation. But do call the office and double check first, and do check on the holidays, because we do some departures from different airports such as Manchester.
Okay, thank you for that, Dan. So how much training do you provide to the sighted travellers? This is as an example, how best to describe things, how sighted people can make sure they're not figuratively and literally getting in the way, or is it just a case of communication between individuals coupled with common sense?
Common sense.
It's a great question, this. We send out sighted guide packs to the travellers, which gives great tips on how to guide. We've also produced a fun and informative sighted guide training video, which is available on our YouTube channel, and we will link to it in the sighted guide packs. We then give further training at the airports or the hotel when we first meet as a group. Now, in some cases, you are right, though. Communication is the key, and as every visually impaired traveller is completely different and wants to be guided differently, or wants to know more information when they're being given description, it's easy to do just by speaking to each other, and where the common sense and communication becomes key. Okay, so we're going to rattle through a few sort of yes and no questions. So between me and you, Dan, and Amar, you can join in. I'm pretty sure you'll know some of the answers, Amar.
I'll let you guys answer them.
Fingers on the buzzers.
Okay. Can you create a wait list for overbooked holidays?
Easy one. We already have a wait list. So if you call up and the holiday is fully booked, you can ask to be put on the wait list, and if anyone drops out, you will be contacted to book the holiday.
Fantastic. Can we know who has planned to travel on any trips that are still available? Unfortunately not without getting the group's whole permission first, so we can't actually give out that information. Okay, any plans for China in 2018?
No current plans for China in 2018. We did China in 2017, and it was a roaring success, but we're not putting it on again this year, as we're not repeating that destination this year.
Fantastic.
But stay tuned if you are a China fan.
Amar, you can answer this one. Do you provide the guides?
The local tour guides?
I think it's guides in general.
Oh, yes. So we provide the sighted travellers, absolutely. So if you're visually impaired, you don't need to worry about anything except choosing your own destination and get meeting us at the airport, and leave the rest to us, and we'll have a guide for you right from the beginning to the end of the holiday.
Fantastic. Dan, do you ever go on cruises?
We do go on cruises, and they're always very, very popular. Where have we been on cruises? We've cruised around Scandinavia, around the Bahamas, around the Seychelles. Yes, we do. We've got lots of cruises, and they're always very popular.
Fantastic. Will there be any future holidays to Nashville? Yes, and all we can say is to stay vigilant with our emails. Is there someone to meet you at the airport, Dan?
Yes, if you are travelling with the group from our UK departure point, there will be someone to meet you at the airport. If you are joining us at the destination airport, we can help arrange some assistance for you if you are visually impaired, so that you can join up with the group, or you may go on to the hotel and we will meet you there.
Fantastic. Okay. Amar, can I bring a guide dog on a holiday?
At present, we don't take guide dogs because each day you actually have a sighted traveller with you who act as your eyes, and they guide and they describe, and also gives your guide dog a little holiday and a little break from yourself.
Also, we do have to think about every member of the holiday. Some members of the group may have allergies or other concerns relating to dogs.
I'd be scared of dogs as well.
Maybe scared of dogs, or just not comfortable with dogs. So we do ask you to be considerate of their wishes in that respect.
Okay. Why do vision impaired travellers pay double? Now, this is a great question. It's one that we've been looking forward to answering. So we have a two-tier pricing system. We have the standard blind price and the discounted sighted price, which is often up to 50% less. So the system comes from your beginnings, Amar, really.
When I first wanted to travel and I approached mainstream travel companies, they'd always say to me that, you need to bring somebody with you, like a carer. I didn't think I needed a carer at all. I could pack my own stuff, etc. But they wanted me to, bring somebody with me, and that was going to be like an extra cost, obviously, if I was to bring somebody with me. So when we set up Traveleyes, I wanted the system to be very fair to visually impaired travellers, because I'm visually impaired myself. So as a VI traveller, you're actually paying the normal competitive price, and the sighted traveller is actually having a discounted price. So they're paying almost sometimes subsidised by about 40-50% off the actual competitive price. And so a lot of people say, okay, so if you're discounting the sighted places, where does that discount come from? That discount actually comes from Traveleyes, and we're not a charity, and we don't receive any funding whatsoever. It just means that we're actually selling half of our holidays at a considerably reduced price compared to our competitors. But if you look at our trips, so for example, if a VI is paying £3,000 going off to, Galapagos, if you looked at a mainstream competitor, for example, Saga or Solo Travel, the normal price would be about £3,000 or £3,500, and our sighted travellers would be paying £2,000. So that discount is given by Traveleyes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So if you approach one of these mainstream companies as a visually impaired traveller, you may well be asked to bring someone along with you, both paying that full price of £3,000. But if you decided to come with us with a sighted companion as well, your sighted companion would still benefit from the discount provided by us here at Traveleyes. So they would still travel for the reduced rate.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. As sighted travellers have much more choice on who they can travel with, we have to offer an incentive for them to travel with us. Our VI travellers are not paying for the sighted travellers. If this was the case, based on the example of £3,000, you'd be paying 150% or £4,500, which just isn't the case. The price our blind travellers are paying is comparable with the mainstream companies, and we subsidise the cost of the sighted to incentivise them to travel with us. We're competitive with mainstream group operators, but we don't charge any more for the sighted guys or the tactile excursions or our specialist tour managers.
Absolutely. And our products team works so hard to make sure that we get the best prices, so they consider flights, the times of the year going to certain destinations, and that all makes sure that our prices are very, very competitive.
And the last question, how do you go about choosing the Traveleyes representative for the holidays? As the holidays I've attended, everyone has been first class.
First class.
That's great to hear.
Okay. Yeah, so...
What a lovely question to end on, that is.
Yeah. It's a great question, and there are so many factors into going to choosing which Traveleyes representatives do the trips. I mean, there's things like how many cups of tea and coffee they've made that month, how tidy the desks are, I mean, how much they've been, sucking up to Amar, have they been getting into the office on time? I mean, that's a big one.
Who doesn't go home first from a work night out? Who brings in the nicest biscuits, homemade cakes?
It's always a biscuit.
It's all about bribery.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's all that we have time for today. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for sending in your questions. If we didn't get around to answering your questions, we may do this again soon, so don't worry. I want to thank you, Dan and Amar.
Oh, you're very welcome, Andrew.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay. The second episode of My Eye on Myanmar with Hussein will be out next week. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel to be notified of when that is released. Remember to drop a like on this episode, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. We look forward to sharing the adventure with you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.